In the cold northern seas of Japan, where winter waves lash fiercely against the hull of boats and the grey sky stretches endlessly across the horizon, there lives a strange creature the locals call Ankimo, the monkfish. Its appearance startles anyone seeing it for the first time, a huge, flattened head. A wide mouth seemingly ready to swallow anything passing by. And rows of sharp, jagged teeth. Its flat body, colored in shades of brown and gray, blends perfectly with the muddy seabed, making it a master of camouflage and ambush. Monkfish meat is highly prized, especially its liver, Ankimo, regarded as the foie gras of the sea in Japan. Soft, rich, and delicately fragrant, served in many high-end restaurants. Because of this value, Japanese fishermen have pursued monkfish for generations, and one of the most effective ways to catch them is by using bottom-set gill nets, special nets designed to stretch along the seabed where monkfish hide. On a medium-sized wooden boat equipped with hundreds of meters of gill net, the crew begins their workday before sunrise. Their breath forms white clouds in the freezing air, and the steady rumble of an old diesel engine fills the silence as the vessel leaves port. Each fisherman is dressed in thick life jackets, waterproof clothing, and heavy rubber gloves, knowing that the next few hours will be both physically demanding and a test of patience. The bottom-set gill net is made of fine but durable mesh. Suspended vertically by floats along the top and weighted by lead along the bottom, creating an invisible underwater wall between the seabed and the lower water column. When setting the net, they carefully calculate the location and depth, places where the seabed holds plenty of small marine life, where monkfish are likely to ambush their prey. The setting process begins when the helmsman slows the boat to an almost idle drift. One fisherman stands at the stern, steadily releasing the net into the sea, while another drops weights to keep it anchored to the bottom. Round floats in bright red and orange are released at intervals, marking the position for later retrieval. It takes nearly an hour to set the full length of the net, after which comes the long, frigid wait. The fishermen usually take this time to prepare a simple breakfast, sip hot tea, or check their gear. As the tide rises and the current begins to move, monkfish lying buried in the mud sense the scent of food from passing schools of fish or squid. They lunge forward, mouths gaping, to snap at the prey, only to run straight into the nearly invisible net. Their teeth and fins quickly tangle in the fine mesh, trapping them. The fishermen know this behavior well, which is why they time their retrieval carefully. Often in late morning or mid-afternoon when the catch rate is highest, the winch engine growls as they return to the set location. The cable attached to the net tightens, and section by section, the mesh emerges from the water. Pulling the net requires strength and teamwork. One person operates the winch, another removes fish from the mesh, and a third sorts the catch directly on deck. When a massive monkfish surfaces, its thick body thrashes violently, sending seawater spraying as the crew steps aside. Untangling a monkfish is tricky. As its teeth easily snag on the nylon mesh. Wearing heavy gloves, the fishermen use pliers to free it bit by bit, avoiding damage to the net or injury from the sharp teeth. Once freed, the monkfish is placed immediately into ice-filled containers, as both the meat and liver deteriorate quickly without proper chilling. On deck, white foam boxes gradually fill, the fish neatly layered between crushed ice. Besides monkfish, bottom-set gill nets also catch other demersal species such as flounder. or octopus, all sorted on the spot for sale at local fish markets or directly to restaurants. When the last of the net is hauled aboard, the deck smells strongly of salt and the distinctive tang of fresh fish. The pale afternoon sun filters weakly through a thin mist, painting a tranquil yet unforgiving scene of life at sea. Each trip like this can last from several hours to a full day, depending on the weather and the desired catch. Despite the hard labor, Japanese fishermen maintain their patience and meticulous care, two essential traits for success with bottom-set gillnets. Monkfish, with their ugly appearance but exquisite flavor, have become an important source of income for many fishing villages in Japan. These fish not only hold economic value but are also deeply tied to local culinary culture. Ankimo, a hot pot made from the meat, bones, and especially the liver of monkfish, is a beloved winter dish, warming diners against the biting cold. For the fishermen, every monkfish they land is not just a product for market, but a piece of culinary heritage they are helping to preserve. Monkfish are peculiar creatures of the deep. Thriving in cold and temperate waters along Japan's northern coasts, particularly in the Sea of Japan and off Hokkaido, they are ambush predators, lying almost completely still on the seabed with only the lure-like extension on their head, called the elysium, swaying slightly to mimic the movements of small prey. Unsuspecting fish, squid, or crustaceans are drawn close, and in an instant, the monkfish snaps its enormous mouth shut, sucking in water and prey alike. This predatory strike happens faster than the blink of an eye, a perfect adaptation for a life of stealth. For fishermen, the challenge is not finding monkfish. They are relatively abundant in certain seasons, but catching them efficiently without damaging the delicate quality of their meat and liver. Bottom-set gillnets, known locally as tikiami when used in coastal areas or sokodatami in deeper offshore waters, are ideal for targeting monkfish because they remain close to the seabed, where these fish spend most of their time. The net's mesh size is carefully chosen, large enough to let small, non-target species pass through. But just the right size to ensnare the head and teeth of a mature monkfish. Setting these nets is both an art and a science. Before the boat leaves port, the captain checks tide charts, weather forecasts, and water temperature data. Monkfish tend to be more active when bottom water temperatures hover around 3 to 7 degrees Celsius, and their feeding peaks often coincide with changing tides. The captain's decision on where and when to set the net can mean the difference between a bountiful haul and a near-empty deck. In many fishing communities, this knowledge is passed down through generations, a blend of experience, intuition, and careful observation of the sea's subtle signs. Once the net is in place, it is left to soak for several hours. During this time, the crew doesn't simply idle. They often prepare for retrieval by sharpening knives, checking ice stores, and ensuring the winch and rollers are functioning smoothly. If the weather turns rough, waves slamming against the hull and icy spray soaking the deck, the wait becomes a test of endurance. Conversations are short, movements deliberate, conserving energy for the work ahead. Retrieving a bottom-set gill net loaded with monkfish is a process that requires steady rhythm. The winch hauls the net up, the mesh sliding over the stern roller glistening with seawater. Occasionally, the weight on the line increases abruptly, a sign that something large is entangled below. When the head of a monkfish breaks the surface, its gaping mouth and glassy eyes give it a prehistoric look. Some can exceed a meter in length, with thick, muscular tails prized for their firm, lobster-like texture. Removing monkfish from the net demands patience. The mesh is fine and can easily tear if forced, so the crew works each fish loose carefully. Sometimes cutting away a section of net if the fish's teeth are too deeply entangled. Damaging the net is costly, but so is losing a high-quality fish. The balance between speed and care is one that every experienced crew member learns over years of practice. As the catch is sorted, smaller monkfish may be set aside for local markets, while larger specimens, especially those with plump, unblemished livers, are reserved for premium buyers. The monkfish liver, a delicacy known as Ankimo, is cleaned, salted, and steamed before being served in sushi bars and kaiseki restaurants. Its creamy texture and rich flavor have earned it a reputation as one of Japan's finest winter delicacies. In many fishing ports, brokers will board the vessel immediately upon docking to inspect the livers and negotiate prices on the spot. The rest of the monkfish is far from waste. The tail meat, firm and sweet, is ideal for sashimi, tempura, or grilled dishes. The head, skin, and bones are boiled to make broth for Ankimo, a hearty winter hot pot that includes tofu, vegetables, and miso or soy-based soup. In traditional fishing villages, nothing from the monkfish goes unused, even the fins and skin are dried or fried for snacks. Life on a monkfish boat is demanding. Winter seas off northern Japan are notorious for their sudden storms, freezing winds, and heavy swells. Crews often work in temperatures well below freezing, hands numb despite thick gloves, bodies aching from hours of hauling and sorting, yet there is a quiet pride in the work. For many fishermen, monkfish season represents a significant portion of their annual income, and a good haul can mean financial security for the year ahead. Back in port, the unloading process begins almost immediately. Forklifts move boxes of iced monkfish from the boat to refrigerated trucks bound for fish markets. In some towns, the catch goes straight to the famous early morning auctions, where buyers from across Japan gather. Under the bright fluorescent lights of the auction hall, the monkfish are laid out in neat rows. They're strange. Wide heads and gaping mouths giving them an almost otherworldly presence. Auctioneers move quickly, calling out prices as brokers bid with subtle hand gestures. The largest, most pristine monkfish can fetch impressive sums, particularly if their livers are in peak condition. For the fishermen, once the last box is unloaded and the nets are repaired, it's back to preparing for the next trip. Monkfish fishing is a cycle. Set the nets, wait, haul, sort, sell, repeated day after day through the cold months. And while the work is hard and the conditions harsh, there is a rhythm to it that many come to find deeply satisfying. Out on the sea, in the thin winter light, each catch feels like both a reward for skill and a gift from the ocean. As winter deepens along Japan's northern coast, the monkfish season enters its peak. The cold currents rolling down from the north bring with them not only an abundance of prey species but also create the perfect conditions for monkfish to feed aggressively. In many fishing villages, this is the busiest time of year. The docks are alive with activity from before dawn until long after sunset, the rhythmic thrum of winches, the clatter of ice being shoveled into crates, the shouting of crew members as they maneuver nets and gear into position for the next voyage. Before each trip, the crew gathers in the small cabin of the boat, sipping steaming cups of green tea while the captain reviews the plan. Charts are spread out on the table, marked with pencil lines indicating depth contours, previous net locations, and notes about the bottom composition. Monkfish prefer areas where soft mud transitions to rougher patches of sand and rock, the kind of terrain where they can bury themselves yet still have ambush cover. This is not random guesswork, it is the accumulation of decades of observation. Sometimes confirmed by sonar but often guided by the feel of the captain. Honed through years of trial and error. Once at sea, the work of setting the bottom set gill net is performed with a smooth precision that speaks of long practice. Each crew member has a defined role. One feeds the net over the stern. Another tends the lead line to ensure it sinks evenly. Another manages the floats. And the captain maintains the vessel's slow, steady speed. The process is as much about timing as technique. If the net is set too early, the fish may not yet be active, too late, and the changing current might twist the mesh, reducing its effectiveness.